Here today we're gonna install and implement Windows deployment servers, and we're gonna log in on the server. Let's log in as administrator. Okay, to install the Windows deployment service WDS, we need to make sure that this servers is providing DHCP IPs to the computers, and meanwhile the server has a domain, an Active Directory, domain controller, and DNS. So let's go check for the rules. What are the rules which are installed? So we have DNS and Active Directory. So one of the rules, we need to install DHCP now. Okay, so this is the IP of this server, and this is the domain. Let's validate that it's valid. Then we need the ones. Then we're gonna add the first scope, or the only just one scope, that's which this server will give the computers which will join. Let's make it 100. Let's try this one. 2.200. Okay, then click on next. We don't want to enable v6, DHCP v6. We're going to use this credential, yes, Humber administrator. Next, then install. After installation, we're going to check if the DHCP servers is installed and working properly or not. And there's a problem with the DHCP. Attempt to configure DHCP server with the error code. The scope parameter are incorrect. So there is something wrong with the scope. Okay, either the scope already exists or subnet mask inconsistency. So to resolve this issue, let's go to see here the DHCP server has a regex. If you went to the DHCP server, and this is our domain IP here, it should be fine. It's up and running. Okay, and it's active. Okay, so there is no problem with the scope. And second part, we need to install the WDS. Let's go to the rules again. We might need to restart. However, let's install the other rule as well. Windows deployment service, but the Windows WDS requires that we need to configure another drive for our computer here. There is another one already, so I did it before. So in order to show you how this one is done, this one is created from here, from the settings, and I had this one, so I'm gonna do it with you. Oh, it disappeared. So this is a normal server. In order to add Windows deployment service, we go to VM settings. We're gonna add a hard drive, extra hard disk, yes, and SCSI, okay, independent, don't care about this. Create a new virtual disk, 40 gig, okay, where I'm gonna create it in extra disk. Let's call it WDS-disk. Okay, open. This is the virtual of that hard disk. So if we went here, it's not yet provisioned. So if we went here to the storage and the disk management, we're gonna find here it is has been allocated here. So let's create it. No simple drive here, I cannot create it yet. So let me go to this disk. There is a red down arrow. So if I click on this one, I initialize the disk. When I initialize the disk, so make it MBR master boot record. After initializing the disk, the red down arrow had been removed. When I click here, I found the new sample volume, so I can create the volume now. I'm gonna take the entire drive, the 40 gigs, give it assign a drive letter. Let's leave it as E, and let's call it the WDS. The next, I make a quick format. We're gonna deploy Windows 7 Professional, so we have to insert the CD or the ISO file. So now here the WDS partition has been created. It's empty one, and the CD, in order to provide the CD, we can go to settings, VM and settings, and make sure that the CD is indicating to the file of the Windows 7 Professional. This file is a little bit big, 4 gigs, so it might take a long time when we install it or when we use it. Next part, now we need to install the rule here. Right click and add a rule. Then next, the WDS here, where Windows Deployment Service. Click on next. Yes. We need the deployment server, transparent server. Then we can install this service. So this installation is successful. Now when we go to the deployment service here, on the servers, we're gonna find here in the server it's not configured, so we need to configure the service. To configure it, right click and configure the server. Here, enter the path to remote installation. The remote installation, it will not be on the C, it will be on the created partition of the WDS. What is the created partition? It is E. So I'm gonna make the remote install, remove C and click on E. Replace it by the E letter, which is the drive letter of the WDS partition that we just created. I don't want to listen to the port and configure DSP. Click on it. So I'm gonna use the boot of our network drive. So when it's booting, it will grab the WDS file in order to install the Windows automatically. Then respond to all clients, known and unknown, yes. Require administrator approval. So when the PC or the workstation starts to grab the file, it will ask the administrator to approve that. So no one can install unless the administrator approves that. Then we click on the next. So this is the first part of configuring the server. Now it's configured. Now we need to create the boot image and the installation image. Boot image and installation image will be grabbed from the CD, which already the ISO file, which I already setting here on the virtual machine, and I inserted here on the ISO file. So it is when I go to start and computer, it's here. It's inside the sources. So let's grab them. Boot image, right click and add a boot image. Now he's looking for the file location. We go to the computer, the file, it's inside the sources folder. Here is the boot. Okay. So we click on the next. What do you want to call it? It's up to you. You can call it Windows 7, for example, Pro. Okay. And there's a description if you want to write the description. Click on the next. Next. Now it will take some time in order to prepare this boot, image boot. That was fast enough. Okay. With the same boot, we're gonna, on the same procedure, we're gonna make one for the install, add install image. Let's call it also Win7 Pro. This is the name of the group. Then the file location, it is in the same sources on the CD that we inserted, or the ISO file. Here is the install. Now click on the next. Here we have on this CD has all these versions. If you want to leave all of them, you can leave all of them. Otherwise, you may uncheck the versions that you don't want. So I'm gonna use only the 7 Pro version. Okay. Until this image is created, I'm gonna create a virtual machine. File, new virtual machine. Okay. I'm gonna install it later. I'm not gonna install the system now. The system is Microsoft 7 64-bit. Click on next. What do you want to call it? Let's call it W7 Pro T1. Sorry, that was 7 Pro T1. And where I'm gonna install it on here on the C. I have VMware here slash the same W7 Pro dash T1. So this is gonna be, I'm gonna dedicate 60 gig. Of course, we know that the 60 gig will not be dedicated until all of them are full. I'll go to the customize to remove, you can remove any things that you don't use, printer, sound card, anything that you don't want to interrupt you while you are installing. While this PC is already ready now, and our install has been also install file is there. So we have the install, we have the boot. So we created the WDS service. Let's check the properties, DSP, okay, advanced. So let's go now and try to boot this machine that we had configured to say that we mentioned that it will be boot later on. So let's boot it now. We need to press F12 twice in order the HP server to grab it. Let's install. F12 is not running here. It's not. So let's go to the server here and no DHCP server. If you want to restart this, you can just click Control Alt Insert and the VMware will be restarted. I'm trying to press F12. F12 is not yet activated, so let's check here on the rules if anything had been left here. Disk management, this one, our WDS is there. Computer, it has the installation file, remote install, okay. And also we have the rules here. DHCP server, this should be up and running. I remember there was something wrong in the scope when I was trying to figure it. So everything's up and running now. It seems so. Let's go again to this machine and check for F12. It should be running. Let's restart the server. It might require a restart. It shouldn't, but let's start that because the HP is not grabbing yet from the server. Okay, here still the operating system F12 doesn't work, doesn't respond, so there is something wrong and the configuration, something missing. Let's check the network card. This one. Oh yes, network card should be host only. This is the first part. So after we did this, let's try now. Let's restart again by pressing Ctrl Alt and Insert. This is first one. Let's check also for the server if it is host only. Both of them should be on the same, yes, host only. Another part that could make another problem for you, that the VMware network host, it might get also DHCP from the VMware. So let's check if the computer is getting, yes, the host only, it's by default getting an DHCP of the VMware. In order to disable this and get it from the local host adapters, sometimes the virtual network editor makes these issues, so you have to close it and reopen it again. Make sure the host is in the DHCP of the VMware is unchecked. It's not responding. So we'll go again and yes, it's working. So the PC is automatically getting local DHCP from the VMware. We had to disable this. Okay, let's try now. And let's review the settings. Of the DHCP. Don't listen, okay. Here as well. Let's restart now. Let's check now for the server. Let's check the IPs. Are the scope is right or wrong? Something wrong with the scope? Is it authorized or not? When we go to the actions, sometimes if it's not authorized, it will not deploy and provide IPs. Everything seems okay. I don't need the IP6. Let's go back now. Try again. Click F12. Yeah, finally works. That's in real life. Sometimes it takes time you need to restart, to restart the services, restart the machines until it is done. Okay, now it asks for a permission from the administrator, which we already checked when we was installing the WDS. So I have to go back to the server and approve this pending permission. So I have to go back to the WDS and check for if there is any pending authorization. Yes, there is one. That's it. So I have to right click and agree it. Have to approve this one. Otherwise, it will not be installed. So this is another security. So no one can deploy even if received this file. It will not be installed automatically. It needs authentication from the administrator. So after that, let's wait. After my approval, yes, it started now. So now the Windows is deployed and the file is grabbed from the server.